Hi, it's John. I've just been setting up my motorhome, which is a Rollerteam Autoroller 746. And what I've been doing is connecting the inverter to the main wiring system of the motorhome. So the idea is that we can use any of the electrics that we would use when we're on mains hookup, like in a campsite or at home. We can use all that when we're off-grid as well. And so what I've done is I first of all connected up my inverter, which is just down here. Let me show you. So this is the driver's seat here, and as you can see, I've been busy. I've connected up the 2000 watt inverter here, and so what it does is it has, when it's turned on, it has a normal mains connector just here. So there's a mains plug, so that's 220 volts, and it comes out and it goes underneath my feet here, and it comes through the cupboard. And what I've done is I had a bit of an adventure feeding it to the main switch area. So I've run a cable that comes up here, and then I've opened this cupboard. I've run it on the inside, so I'm just going to tidy this up and put it on like the inside of the cupboard so you can't really see it. It runs up at the top, and I managed to get it up inside this panel here. So just by pulling the panel out a bit. It was quite funny. I couldn't get this out because if you can see, the screw is like right next to the ceiling, so there's no way of getting a screwdriver in, but I managed to get it through there. Cable comes along here. Now once it comes down to here, it just runs down the back of the, there's like a panel, I think, to help air the back insulation, so it comes through this cupboard. And then I've run it through these existing wires, so these are like a mixture of lights and mains wires. It passes down past the heating. There's one of the plugs that it supplies. You can see that's a normal UK plug. It goes down through here, down under here. You can just see the cable here, and then it comes into here. So this is the Autoswitcher, and so this is like the main circuit breaker. So when you're on mains hookup, this is the thing that has its own circuit, and it supplies all the electrics in the van. And then, so what the Autoswitcher does is when it detects this wire here, when it detects this one, which is the master, sorry, this one, the top one here, this is the master. When it detects a supply on that, it will supply everything in the van through that. However, when the inverter's turned on, that's the slave, the middle one, I think, and that will supply the van the or 220 or 240 volts from the main batteries, the two leisure batteries. Now there is one small problem with that whole setup, and that is that let me just show you around here. The problem is that underneath here, it's quite hard to see, but underneath here is actually the charger that charges the batteries from mains hookup. So what you don't want is for the batteries to charge themselves. I think eventually they just run themselves flat if it wasn't already very dangerous. So what I've had to fit is a relay. So its installation isn't complete yet, but what it does is it means that this is hooked up so that when it detects power coming from the inverter, what happens is it switches off this kind of silver box here, which for charging your batteries when you're on hookup. I'm losing my words. So yeah, so I can quickly show that. I think you can hear the heating's on at the moment. So if I just turn on the inverter here, so it has a remote switch, if I turn that on, you'll hear a funny noise. And that buzzing noise was the relay detecting power from the inverter and then turning off this mains hookup here. And so it'll no longer charge the batteries when it's on the inverter, which is good because you want the solar panel to do that. And what would normally turn up here when it's on mains power is like it would show a little hookup sign here, and also that it was charging the battery. So that's not showing, so that's good news. And then really any of these plugs will now work. So there's a plug here which is really handy. There's a plug here, so like when my son's playing Xbox, he'll be able to use that. And what else? Yeah, the heating. So the heating's quite funny. It thinks that it has mains hookup, which is true. It has supply from the batteries. However, I did test it running the heating, and it's about 400 watts, like 30 something amps, which was huge. So I don't really think that's viable. And also the fridge. So the fridge you can turn on, and the fridge will think that it's on mains hookup as well. So I could just do that, and it'll consume power. I think that was about 45 watts, as I could see from the battery monitor that I've added. So yeah, that's it. So it's now just a case of putting everything back together, securing the wires. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to put the whole Motorhome back together and secure all the wires, and then I'll be happy to share what it's like. And yeah, in future, I think I'd love to get some new batteries. These ones, the Motorhome used to be a rental, so I think one of the batteries is a bit flat, and I think it struggles to boil a kettle. But everything else works, so that's super exciting. And the cool thing about the Autoswitcher is that when I plug in from the outside, and I will test this, there's the rain. When I plug in from the outside, what happens is the Autoswitcher realizes that it actually has mains hookup, and it disables the inverter from powering the rest of the van. So that's really cool. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Hi, it's John, and so today I've been setting up the Motorhome so that the inverter can power the Motorhome electrics when we're off-grid. And what I've done is I've connected up this little box here, which is an auto switchover, and if I can open this cupboard, so at the moment it's turned on, so the inverter's turned on and it's saying that the slave is active and that it's giving power to load, which is the main circuit. So I put that in and I ran a cable from there. It runs up here, all the way through the backs of these cupboards, up to the back here, inside this cupboard. You can probably see up in the corner. This goes up through there, and then all the way down through here, under here, and then into here, which is where the inverter is. And so there's a plug just under there. The inverter sits under here. It's a 2000 watt inverter. And you turn it on and off just here. So if I turn this off, you hear a couple of clicks. One was there, which is a relay, and one's over here, which is the auto switcher. And I added a relay, which is just underneath here. And what that means is when you turn it on, it's quite a high powered one, so it makes a bit of a noise. It'll make a funny buzzy noise. There we go, and that's it turned on. And what that does is it disconnects the power for the battery charger. So you don't want the battery to recharge itself, which wouldn't be very efficient. So that's it really. It means now I can use all the plug sockets. So instead of just being able to use this one that was for the inverter, I can now use like this one here, and I can use the fridge off of the inverter, which is quite cool. I think it uses about 35-40 watts. Let's turn it off. And then also you can see that the heating thinks that it's on hookup, which is not, but it's been powered by the inverter, so you can also run the heating. I did turn that on at electric 1, which is 1 of 2 bars, and that was about 400 watts, so that's certainly a lot. And so there's a plug socket here I can use, and then there's one here. My son will be happy, so we can use his Xbox while we're traveling off grid. So yeah, that's it. That's it set up. I haven't tested the actual auto switcher yet, so when we go and connect up in a campsite and we connect in power to the side of the motorhome, then we'll be able to test that it switches over. But it should happen super quick and with no power interruption, which would be great. So yeah, that was super fun. It took a couple of days to do the work because I had to really run wires to like the length of the motorhome, but it was super fun, and I look forward to more motorhoming adventures. Thank you for watching. Sending my love. This is my mobile recording studio, the Tascam Model 12 in my motorhome, and I have a bit of a grounding issue, so what I've done is I've put my knee, rolled up my jeans, put my knee against the mixing desk, and that's allowed us to get rid of the ground problem for now, and I'll have to figure out how to ground it to the actual vehicle itself. I put the camera up here, and down here I have my 2 channels for guitar. There's my guitar on my knee, and let me flip the camera around. Hey, it's John, just to prove that I'm recording this in my motorhome. So here's my microphone and my guitar, and then I also have my Model 12 Tascam down there, and that's how I record my songs. I also mount them on the camera up on the tripod there. So yeah, I hope you enjoy my songs. Sending my love from England.